संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणीं अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रतास्वरूपिण्यै तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः। नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे ओं सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते. So we have already started the first chapter of Karma Yoga by Swami Vivekananda, Karma in its effect on character. We have seen through the beginning of the first two pages. Swamiji has initially given three definitions for the meaning of work, and then proceeding, what do you mean by a character? He says the pravritti, the tendency. If you say, let us say, a loving person, he loves everything in the sense of, suppose he is doing any work, he loves that work. Suppose he is taking care of his pets, he loves his pets. Suppose he is in a school teaching students, he loves his profession, he loves his students. It is the pravritti of the person which decides the actions. Pravritti, that's what Swamiji means by character, which was explained in the last lecture. And when he says the goal of mankind is knowledge, in the beginning itself Swamiji makes this statement, the goal of mankind is knowledge. Now he is trying to make us understand the meaning of knowledge here. So we use the word we know, he knows. What does that actually mean? Knowing is unveiling. Unveiling. In the English terminology, it is discovering. Discover. Cover means it which is covered. Discover, removing the cover is called discover. So whatever knowledge that we gain, either spiritual knowledge or secular knowledge, is always within. Nothing, no knowledge comes from outside. To make it clear, Swami Vivekananda gave the example of Newton's law of gravitation. The gravitation as a law, as a knowledge, does not exist in the falling of an apple or in the center of an earth. Gravitation exists, but the law of gravitation, which is the knowledge, is within. So further Swamiji explained, and I also try to explain what do we really mean by the knowledge that is within. Continuing today, here Swamiji says, I will just read few sentences here and then continue. Give one more example to make it further clear, make it still more clearer, and then try to explain a few things regarding karma. I have taken a board now. Of course, online YouTube is more beneficial while using a board. Of course, anyhow, because there are so many theories that we have to understand before entering into the law of karma and character building. For that, first I will explain. Then I will write down the summary on the board so that you can connect later. So here, Swamiji says, we are learning. What do you mean by that? The man from whom veil is being lifted is the more knowing man. The man upon whom it lies thick is ignorant. And the man from whom it has entirely gone is all-knowing, omniscient. When generally we say Rishis knew all the knowledge, or they had discovered the knowledge within. When you say, Swamiji already in the beginning itself he has told, all knowledge therefore secular or spiritual is in the human mind. Suppose let us say, for an example, fortunately you met Sri Ramakrishna. Fortunately, let us assume that you meet either Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Holy Mother. Let us not take Swami Vivekananda, because you know that Swamiji tried to combine, there are so many things that they speak, try to combine science and spirituality. Of course, we don't really understand what does that word mean. Of course, many people use this term, science and spirituality. There are so many talks, is it not? Let us assume that you meet Sri Ramakrishna. Either you have gone to Dakshineshwar or Belur Mutt and you are meditating, suddenly Sri Ramakrishna has appeared before you. Or you have gone to Jayanam Bhatti in search of something and suddenly you feel that Holy Mother is sitting in front of you. Then suddenly you remember that tomorrow is your examination on law of gravitation, Newton's laws of motions, first law, second law, third law. Mother, I have not understood force is equal to momentum is equal to force into acceleration. I need little clarification. Can she, because knowledge is within, both spiritual and secular, can I ask this question? Then Swamiji says, when the man from whom it has entirely gone is all-knowing and omniscient. When you say all-knowing and omniscient, Holy Mother should be able to answer even laws of, even theory of relativity, E equals mc square, may not be better than Einstein. And now, knowledge in the secular is human mind, everything is within you, if you say. If you have this question, if Swamiji, if Holy Mother should be able to answer, definitely she can answer, but the problem with the spiritual person is they cannot bring their mind to the level of this physical world and physical science. There is one example in the life of Sri Ramakrishna where when Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was in Balram Bose's house, some student had got a gift from the university because he scored a rank. The then British government presented him with a microscope. Now microscope is, everybody has seen in our in school's days, we used it, is it not? We were shown amoeba and euglena, the single-celled, when we were studying in high school and even in later in PU biology classes, dissection, etc. We used microscopes. But in those days, it was a rarity to see and use a microscope. So one of the college students got a microscope and he was connected with the devotees of Paramahamsa, and it was informed to Sri Ramakrishna that that person is having a microscope. And he even brought a few slides, and he was asked to come to Balram Bose's house. With those slides he came. Then many of the devotees saw the microscope and they were enjoying seeing it. And Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was also requested to come and see the slides. It comes in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna also, if you remember reading it. Then Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa comes near the microscope and he simply walks away. He says, I cannot bring my mind to this material objective world. It has transcended this realm of physical existence. You will understand all these things only if you have some experiences. Otherwise, it's all intellectual understanding. Of course, it will come. It needs a special training. So, you should understand that secular or spiritual knowledge is within. It's an infinite storehouse of knowledge. That's why I wanted to explain the incident of Swami Vivekananda last time, but time was up. It was already late. So I concluded there itself. But I mentioned the incident of Swamiji. What happened in Swamiji's life in younger days? So suddenly his father passed away. Vishwanath Datta passed away, Narendra's father. So they were earning, when Vishwanath Datta was at home, they were earning approximately 1,000 rupees per month. In those days, 1880s, 1882. Compare with the inflation, calculate, multiply with the inflation of today. In 1940s or 1930s, you used to get for 12 annas, approximately, I think some 12 kgs, 1 anna, 1 kg rice. So 1982 multiplied by the inflation into 1,000. So that was the earning that Vishwanath Datta had. When his father passed away, they could not even get rupees 30 per month. So what happened? Narendra went in search of job everywhere. So he had a doubt, a major doubt in his life. What was the doubt? How can misery, listen properly, how can misery coexist with a blissful providence? Providence means God. I think you are able to follow me. You have to follow every word. You should have taken a cup of coffee and then enter the lecture hall. In European countries, you have the freedom to take coffee in the classroom, because many of the European countries are all cold countries. Is it not? So it's very cold outside. So you have the freedom to bring coffee. The lecturer, the professor will be teaching. The boys can have their coffee in between, but not here, of course. So here, Narendra had a question. How can misery coexist with a blissful providence? What do we say? One of the adjective or guna of Bhagavanta, God, is Parama Karunamaya. Karunamaya Bhagavanta. If you say, then why should there be so much misery? So this, when Narendra started to earn money, such a talented man, even like Professor William Hastie, what he said, after going to England, he said, I have traveled all over the world and never come across a student like Narendra. He was a class apart. That was William Hastie, an English professor. Came from England, afterwards he went back to England, who used to teach Narendra. Of course, he only spoke about that excursion, the poem on excursion. So, with such an intellect and talent, Narendra could not get a job in the world, could not earn money. So then he thought, there's so much misery. He, many times, not always, but many times it happened that he has taken food once in 2 days, once in 3 days. One day, he simply fell in the classroom itself due to exhaustion and hunger. In the classroom, he fell down due to exhaustion and hunger. He himself has written all these things in his memoirs, Swamiji. So much he had to struggle to get a job. He could get a job in Ishwarjana Vidyasagar school. Somebody out of jealousy gave some wrong complaint. That happens in present day media, is it not? Somebody complained against him. He was a principal of that. He could not stay more than 2 months in that school, being a headmaster, because all the teachers were jealous of Narendra. Anyhow, the effect was he could not get a job for long stay. Then he translated some books. He started writing articles in the journals. Through that, he could gain some money. Then this thought came, how a merciful God or a blissful providence coexist with the miseries of the world. These are all deep questions. Please ponder over it. When you get time, please ponder over it. You may be suffering, but you don't get an answer. We all suffer in the world. We get a question, why should I suffer? That's the question you put. Swamiji. It has to come, then only you get evolved. Without suffering and crying, what life? You will understand life, you get strength only by suffering, is it not? Anyhow, concentrating on the point, this was the question Narendra had. So one day what happened? It was a rainy season, barefoot, walking all over the all over Calcutta whole day, in search of a job, without a chappal, and he had no umbrella to protect himself from the rain, drenched completely, wet, and the evening he is completely exhausted with fatigue, because he has not taken food all through the day. He has walked down the streets of Calcutta in search of a job. He could gain nothing. So in the evening, maybe doing Sandhya, evening Sandhya, he is completely exhausted. Narendra is completely exhausted. He sat in front of a house on the plinth, what you call Jagali. In Kannada it's called Jagali. He sat on the plinth of one of the houses, completely exhausted. Then he says, so many thoughts started arising in his mind. He says, I had no strength even to drive the thoughts. He was a witness to all the thoughts that was arising in the mind. Then Swamiji himself narrates, I will read a few lines from his life. Suddenly, I was too weak to drive them off and fix my attention on anything in particular. Suddenly, I felt as if by some divine power, the coverings of my soul were being removed one after another. The first thing that you have to understand, the problem is outside, not inside. He is struggling, exhausted because of physical fatigue. Not taking food, not having proper energy, he is exhausted. So the problem is outside. But what's happening inside? All my former doubts regarding the coexisting existence of divine justice and mercy and the presence of misery in the creation of a blissful providence were automatically solved. It did not solve by gaining a job. Swamiji, I was selected in campus interview. No, it did not happen with Narendranath. No campus interview. Were automatically solved. By a deep introspection, I found the meaning. While reading life, every sentence you have to give, you should be aware of the words that being used. By a deep introspection, I found the meaning of it all and was satisfied. As I proceeded homewards, I found there was no trace of fatigue. The fatigue was not satisfied or pacified by taking food or nothing, no energy drink. ये खाओ वो खाओ अच्छा हो जाएगा, वो सब नहीं मिला रात को. It was night. कोई नहीं दिया अभी. Nobody gave also. But what happened? As I proceeded homewards, I found there was no trace of fatigue in the body, and the mind was refreshed with wonderful strength and peace. From where did strength and peace came? By eating food. Pizza खाओ, मजा करो. ऐसा आया क्या? Mind was refreshed with wonderful strength and peace. The night was well nigh over. It was early morning. When Narendra got up with a fresh strength and peace, it was early morning. So what does it indicate? Knowledge is within. For spiritual and secular, whenever you get problems, try to go within. Don't seek mercy from your husband or parents or daughter or wife. They can share two tears as a pity, but there's no solution in that. Knowledge is within. Now, extending it, Swamiji says, like fire in a piece of flint, knowledge exists in the mind. Suggestion is the friction which brings it out. Suggestion is the friction which brings it out. Brings it out means which one? Brings out the knowledge. Now, Swamiji could find the meaning. Could we, after reading it, do we got the knowledge? No. That is the suggestion that you get from the life of Swami Vivekananda. Taking that suggestion, what we have to do, it's outside information that you got. Now, rub it against the ignorance. Knowledge comes from within. That is, after what happens after reading Karma Yoga, this is a suggestion that you are getting from the word. The life incidents are the suggestions that you are getting from the word. Swamiji found the answer. He discovered it. In spite of any amount of explanation, we will not understand it. Because we have not discovered. It is still covered. It was discovered by Swamiji. It is uncovered. It is covered. Sorry. It is covered. We are ignorant. Because we are not rubbing it against the ignorance. Like fire in the piece of flint, knowledge exists in the mind. Suggestion is the friction which brings it out. Take this suggestion, rub it against your ignorance while meditating, then bring out the knowledge which is within. So, you should be very much conscious and aware with the point that knowledge is within. So, all the suggestions, the lecturing, this is not, I am not teaching you. I am only helping you, giving suggestions. These are all the suggestions they are getting. Now you have to take it inside, rub it against your ignorance, and you have to discover the knowledge within. Now, after all this, Swamiji explains here, all these blows taken together, all these blows, good and bad, pleasure and pain, happiness and misery, all this gives a blow to the mind, is it not? All these blows taken together are called karma, work, action. Every mental and physical blow that is given to the soul, soul means antakarana, to the soul, not capital S, Atman is not referred here, to the soul, by which, as it were, fire is struck from it, and by which its own power and knowledge are discovered, by its own power and knowledge are discovered, is karma. This word being used in its widest sense. I will explain. First I will read it and try to explain it. Thus, we are all doing karma all the time. I am talking to you, that is karma. You are listening, that is karma. We breathe, that is karma. We walk, karma. Everything we do, physical or mental, is karma. And it leaves its mark on us. What do you which is the word that we use for karma? It leaves a mark. Samskara. So, now here, every mental and physical blow that is given to the soul, by which, as it were, fire is struck from it, and which its own power and knowledge are discovered, is karma, this word being used in its widest sense. Now here, you have to understand a little bit of philosophy. I expect a little patience today. Of course, those who are very much interested, they will be deeply engrossed to listen and understand. We have to understand a bit of, actually, before entering into, Swamiji now takes up individual karma and its effects and extends it. Before going to that part, I take your permission, freedom, to explain a bit of effects of karma. You have to understand the effects of karma first. Whenever we say karma, every action or karma produces three effects. It's all in a general way, it is very deep. To make it a chart, I am giving a map as such. Karma, every karma or action, effect of karma, has three effects. First is the karma phala. I will explain it. First I will give the three things and then explain individually. Then I will come to the will and how it is connected. Then afterwards I will write down what I have given, what I have explained on the board. A summary, just a summary. So karma phala, very first. Second thing, the karmic residue, shesha, karmic residue, yajna shesha is called the raksha, the prasada, is it not? After yajna, take raksha, Swamiji. What is that raksha? It's the yajna shesha. Dana shesha is punya. That's why once you get a salary, first you have to do dana. Then that becomes prasada. Then you eat. It purifies the mind. So wonderful philosophy. Of course, who will has time to read and understand? Parents are busy, students are busy, and everybody suffers. Then they try to find an answer. So first is karma phala. Second is karmic residue, or to use a technical term, sanchita karma, or in Raj Yoga it is called karmashaya. And the third thing is the samskara. Swamiji is saying here, everything we do, physical or mental, is karma, and it leaves its mark on us. Samskara, this comes in the third part, third effect. First is phala, second one is karmic residue or sanchita karma or karmashaya, and the last part is the samskara, tendencies. They use the word in English, samskara, tendency. What do you mean with this phala or karma phala? You see, Mimamsakas often quote this. You have heard it n number of times. Prayojanam anudishya mandopina pravartate. Is quoted n number. Is mainly quoted by Mimamsakas, one who hold the karmic theory in the Vedas. Jnana theory is Upanishad, karmic theory is Mimamsakas. So, prayojanam anudishya mandopina pravartate. Even a fool will not proceed to do any action without gaining some other result. Even to the extent I say, why do you want to, whoever you are coming, why do you want to come and listen a Karma Yoga lecture today? Because you want to gain knowledge. There is some phala you are expecting, is it not? Prayojana mannu dishya mandopi na pravartate. Without gaining anything, nobody will come. So then, we are trying to do Karma Yoga. Then even Krishna says in Gita, use very oft quote and misunderstood. Very oft quote, misunderstood. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Karmanyeva adhikaraha na phaleshu. Not in fruits, but in karma alone, you have the right thereof. So, even so, somebody says, somebody questions you. I heard that your neighbor, suppose he or she is not coming to the Ramakrishna Math. Then every day, suppose you attend Aarti very regularly, of course not during this 1.5 hour pandemic with corona fear. After that, let us say you come every day. Your neighbor sees you coming every day and questions, hey, why is that you are going to Ramakrishna? I get so much joy and bliss attending Aarti that Swamiji sings so nicely. You say, so there is a karma phala expecting that you come. Is it right or wrong? Without that impulse, there is no impulse or desire to come to Math. Then that neighbor will say, hey, what is there in Ramakrishna Math? You do Chandika Homa, you will get all the benefit. You are doing all dharmik, intending some phala. There is no karma without phala. So, effect of karma, the very first effect is phala. So, we will go to further detailed karma. First I am introducing to only the basic phala. So, when Krishna says karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, he says, let us give one more example. This is a general example for devotees. There is one wonderful doctor. He or she treats a diseased person or the patients. Many people in the hospital, they call by the word case. Case 1, case 2, he is not the human being. Case 1, that, sir, today we have got a wonderful case to study. Anyhow, so here, a patient goes to a doctor. Then a true doctor will always feel this patient should be cured. Is it not a good feeling? A good bhava? Thus, he or she should not have this? Definitely. Then karmanyevadhikaraste. You have not to the fruits thereof. How do you understand this? In the sense of don't have any selfish desire. The patient has come, don't extract extra money that is not necessary for you. Suppose the charge is only 50 or 100. Don't charge 1000. Don't have any selfish attitude, selfish desire. That is the meaning of karmanya. A gardener will always have that his garden should be nice and well. A devotee coming to ashrama will always feel that they should imbibe that spiritual strength. That is all desired. A good doctor always feels that the patient should be cured well. Whatever possible to from their extent, from the doctor's extent. Some incurable, that is left to God. Of course, whatever is in the human hand. So, that feeling is not bad, that is good, that is required. What is not required is the selfish attitude or the selfish desire through that action is karmanyevadhikaraste. So, effect of karma is phala. Always, every action got phala. Extending that, what we have then without having that selfish desire or motive is called nishkama karma. Work, what Swamiji explains here in Karma Yoga, work for work's sake. Now, the second part, karmic residue or sanchita karma or karmashaya. Any action, good or bad, produces adrushta phala. Not a Kannada word, adrushta. Adrushta, Kannada adrushta means luck. In English it is under luck, not luck. Adrushta, unseen. Nadrushtam, adrushtam. Yeah, that which is seen is called drushta. Which is unseen, nadrushtam, is called adrushta. Every good and bad action has got a residual effect in the form of a adrushta phala, which is called sanchita. Theory itself is difficult, is it not? And we are suffering. Many people, many, even young people, they say, I don't believe in philosophy. Hey, life has no meaning without understanding the philosophy of life. You should know the philosophy of life, then there is a meaning in the life activities. Anyhow, you are here to listen, I am here to give you some knowledge here. So, this residual effect stored up, residual effect stored in the form of adrushta is called the sanchita karma. What we call the adrushta phala, sanchita karma. Every good action has got a punya phala. Every bad has got a papa. Punya and papa. These are all residual effect. Now, the fructification of the residual effect in the form of next birth. I will repeat. The residual effect or the fructification of the residual effect as the next birth is called the prarabdha. What do you mean by prarabdha? Whatever action that you have done, good or bad, has got a residual effect. That is called adrushta phala, stored up somewhere. We don't know where. It is called Shesha Shaya Nirdrita Rama. That is, Shesha Shaya means he is sleeping on the karma that we have done, both good and bad. So, the residual, what is sanchita, it has to give phala. Phalakari aguvudu, fructification. The fructification of the residual effect is called the prarabdha. Now, after listening all these things, Swamiji, so much headache, Swamiji, that is called bondage. We are put into this samsara chakra. The whole operation is called law of karma. I will write down, don't worry. If you don't understand, if you don't follow, don't worry. Go to YouTube and again listen. Nothing to worry, just listen. Don't worry, just listen. Now, the last part, of course, when you say this sanchita, prarabdha, bhakti schools, they say, God has got the power to kartum manyata kartum va. He can do, undo, whatever, kapala mochana. Even I explained with Holy Mother's life instance, kapala mochana. Is it not? That is called God's divine grace, so that she can undo all your residual effect. That is left to bhakti. Now we are in karma. We will accept papa, punya, phala at this moment. Now coming to the last part. What is the last effect? Samskara, tendency. When you do an action, Swamiji is telling, everything we do, physical or mental, is karma and it leaves its mark on us. Every action will create some impression in the mind. Every action will create an impression in the mind. So, it is not just an impression. Suppose you take a stamp, put a stamp on a piece of paper. It is not just a such impression with a stamp on the paper. Please be aware that it is dynamic and powerful impression. This impression of the action is dynamic and powerful. Even Vedantis also give much attention to karma in the beginning stages. Please be mindful of this, be aware of this point. Just because we are following a Vedanta, it's not necessary that we ignore karma. No, they accept karma for the purification of mind. I will end the topic there only. That's why you should be aware of that. Arey Swamiji, I am a Vedantin, I don't need all this. No. Either a Bhakta or a Vedanta, karma is necessary for all the beginning stages. Of course, Swamiji takes to the extent of realizing Atman also. He goes for one step further. Now, coming to the samskara, it is dynamic and powerful, the impression. Now, when this action produces the samskara, it has two aspects. Swamiji, already you told three. And again in the third you are come to samskara. Again you are dividing. Please have patience. Further I will divide. Here, this impression has got two aspects. One is bhoga vasana or bhoga vasanas. Everything we have plural. There is no one vasana in us. There is bhoga vasanas. And the second is smriti, memory. This bhoga vasanas manifest as desires, impulse, emotions. How does smriti manifest? In the form of images, in the form of nama and rupa, in the mind or the brain. If you take the physical side, brain, they identify the particular place, a particular thought arises. Where does all the instincts arise? It comes in the lower part of the backside of the brain. So where the higher ideas of Tyaga, Vairagya comes, on the upper part of the brain, on the right side, which is the creative brain. Mechanical brain is the left side, which is a thinking mathematical brain. Anyhow, it's a neuroscientific perspective. So here, Bhogavasana and the Smriti are two parts of the Smriti or the Samskara. When you come to Bhogavasana, what happens is, every action that you do has got a tendency to do the same action again. That's the problem with action, bhoga. Experience or the action will create a desire to repeat it. I will give you a very common example. Suppose today at 4 o'clock I come to your house. You invite me. Yes, I am going to Switzerland in 3-4 months afterwards. Then you say, Swamiji, please come to our house for a satsanga. I come to your house. Then suppose, let us say, you are from Shirsi or Kundapura or Yallapura, that side. Every part has got its own taste, delicacies. You have prepared some Shirsi chutney, very nice Kundapura chutney, and you have offered me. Then I tasted for the first time. It was so nice with asafoetida, ingu, and all those things nicely arranged. Then I get a taste of it. What happens? The very taste will create a desire to taste it again tomorrow. When I go to Switzerland, who will prepare this chutney? Nobody is there. I have to cook myself. So every action or experience has got a tendency to repeat it. A cup of coffee if you drink, again tomorrow you feel like drinking it. It creates a desire. So every action. Now, the impression which produces this desire, the impression which produces this desire to do bhoga is called the bhoga vasana. The desire which creates this impulse to repeat it is called the bhoga vasana. And this bhoga vasana, after a time, after repeated actions, gets converted into instinct. This bhoga vasanas, this is just like I am giving a pakka class, it's not a lecture. This bhoga vasana is the only thing, after a certain time, repeated actions gets converted into instinct. Swamiji has given so many ideas on all these things. If somebody is a true sadhaka, he will be aware of all these points. How this instinct has, why the mind goes after this asana. You have converted into instinct. Once it goes to instinct level, oh, it needs a Herculean will to come out of it. Anyhow, let us not be afraid of all those things. Now, focus on this Bhogavasana now. There is a difference between this Smruti and Vasana. You may ask, how to distinguish Smruti and Vasana? Suppose somebody is addicted to, not coffee. Coffee you can leave any day. Tomorrow if you don't feel like drinking coffee, okay, one day you can manage. Ekadasi, yesterday was Ekadasi. We have not taken food. That is allowed one day. But let us say somebody is addicted to, I will take a common example, don't misunderstand me, cigarette. After a lot of trial and error, finally comes out of smoking. Then, some simply sitting at home, suddenly the image of that smoking comes. Because he has already removed his idea or come out of smoking, though the image appears in his mind, the desire will not arise to smoke. That's why the Smruti is different from Bhogavasana. This Bhogavasana is converted into instinct, not the Smruti. But all impressions has got both Smruti and Bhogavasanas. Continuing, now, what happens in this Smruti, generally, in our case, in all ordinary sadhakas, this Smruti and Vasana is interconnected. The moment you get the image, desire to enjoy it comes automatically. We may not have the freedom to enjoy, but the mind hankers to enjoy. Suppose it is given the freedom to enjoy. Many people live in India. Why? They don't have the freedom to enjoy in India. Few. So it has got a desire. That's why Smruti, for all our people like us, Smruti and Vasana are interconnected. It is this interconnection, how it has happened, it is like a conditioned reflex. It happens automatically. It is a conditioned reflex by repeated actions called habit. You have created a habit by conditioned reflex. That's why the Smruti and the Vasana is interconnected. That's why advertisement companies take advantage. Every Dharavahi, though I don't see Dharavahi, in between they put an advertisement. It is hardly for 10 seconds or 15 seconds. Is it not? A Raymond shop, a Rolex watch comes. Suddenly, if I get money, you will plan. Today it came, what? I am giving all ordinary examples only. iPhone 13 Pro, immediately the desire comes. I have 11, oh, tomorrow I should have 13. So he encashes on the desire because the Smruti is connected with Bhogavasana in us. All advertisement and internet addiction happens because there is a connection with the Smruti and Bhogavasana. How it has created? By doing karma. I am not entered into in Sanchita karma. I am explaining only Samskara. That's why after how many 82 lakh you get a human birth. You should understand how much instinct has been entered into this body and mind. To come to the level that there's a thing called spirituality, it has taken so many things. It's not so easy. Why many people don't understand the word spirituality? All religion is all mockery. Why they say? They have not entered to that realm at all. Because their Smruti is connected to so much of vasanas. Now what is our work now as a karma yogi? You have to de-link it. The connection with the Smruti and the Vasana, you have to break it. That is the work of karma yoga. What happens? The impulses produced by these Vasanas is the binding force for the soul. Impulses arises due to Vasana, that is binds our soul. This, now the theory is, karma or action produces Vasana. A person, let us say, how does karma produces that Vasana? Let us say, a person who has never smoked, will never have desire to smoke. Is it not? You even can't imagine the joy of smoking because we have never smoked. Vasana is created by action alone. Now, you have to, if you want to reverse it, it has to be done through action alone. No other alternative. So, now extending further into classification, now Bhoga Vasana has got two more vasanas hidden in it. One is the desire to enjoy the sense object, Vishaya Vasana. And one more is there, Phala Bhoga Vasana. We have to enjoy the fruits of action. Means, I want to build a house. I want to stay in my own built house. For that, what I will plan for 5 years. Today, I have 3, let us say you want to build a house. Ordinarily, you need at least 1.5 to 2 crores for a modern 30-40 site built. So what you have to, I have 50 lakhs so I will took a EMI for 1.5 crores. I have to do so much of EMI every month. For 10 years that house will be nine. I mortgage this land. So this planning to enjoy the fruits of action is also a part of Bhoga Vasana. So Bhoga Vasana has got two aspects. One is enjoy the sense object. I like eating, I like dosa. These are all sense objects, enjoying the sense objects, Vishaya Vasana. Phala Bhoga Vasana, this is the second aspect. You see, first, without understanding how we are going to renounce. Before renouncing that, we should know there are so many things inside. That's why Buddha is called, he was in that stage. Knowing everything, he renounced. That is true renunciation. Why they call? He was in the full of Bhoga Vasana, everything he had. That is true renunciation. Without enjoying, how can you say Vairagya? That's why now this is, suppose if you don't get that phala, it leads to frustration. Phala Bhoga Vasana, if you are unable to renounce, it leads to frustration. Now, whatever I told, I will write down now. Only 5 minutes is left. At least I have to write down because next Sunday there will be no Leela Prasanga in Kannada because I am going to Dharwad. There is a youth convention. I am asked to address 2 sessions there. So next Sunday there will be no lecture by Swami Mangalanathanandaji and Leela Prasanga. Next Sunday, coming to next Sunday, we will have Leela Prasanga. So we started with effects of karma. I think you are able to see. If not, go at home and then see on YouTube. First one, is the phala. Second is sanchita karma, karma shaya. Sanchita karma or karma shaya in Raja Yoga. Karma shaya. This leads, the fructification of this is called prarabdha. Prarabdha. And the third part was samskara. Samskara has got 2 aspects. One is bhoga vasana and second one is called Smruti Vasana, or merely meaning Smruti. And this Bhoga Vasana again has got 2 aspects. One is Vishaya Bhoga Vasana. Vishaya Bhoga Vasana, I will write it BV. And the second one is Phala Bhoga Vasana. So I try to explain these points for 30 minutes. I don't have time, otherwise I could have explained still further. So there are 3 effects of karma. This is the phala, prayojamandisha mandopina pravartate, sanchita karma. The fructification of sanchita into prarabdha is called rebirth. And the samskara, which has got 2 effects. It's not just an impression, It's a dynamic and powerful, which has got Bhoga Vasana and Smruti Vasana. Smruti Vasana in the form of images and Nama Rupa. Bhoga Vasana in the form of impulses and desires. And this desire has got two aspects. One, Vishaya, enjoyment of the senses, sense objects, through the senses. And one more is Phala Bhoga Vasana, enjoying the Phala, which comes later on. So this is the chart. Now we have to understand Karma Yoga, how to dealing this Vasana and Smruti. I gave the example of smoking, I gave the example of Kundapura chutney, because how to dealing the interconnection between the Smruti and the Bhoga Vasana. So now, Athato Vairagyam Abhyasaha, that's where it starts. With this, we will conclude today. And there's still more further explanation on this. We have to understand how will is connected in this. Because why will? Why I am talking of will? Because in 2 classes before, I gave you a hint. Why should we do Karma Yoga? Because to strengthen the will, Ichcha Shakti, Ichcha Bhavana, Shakti, feeling and will, and Gnana, intellectual, Buddhi. So to strengthen the will, we have Karma Yoga. I addressed into the functions of the mind, and to those particular functions, we have a particular yoga, a respective yoga. So what happens in Karma Yoga? You are increasing your strength, the will. So now, what is the part of the will in this karma and Bhoga Vasana and the Smruti? If you understand that connection, next we will go, then how to detach ourselves from that. Through that we will understand why karma is necessary. Then we will understand Pratyak Pravanata. What do you mean by Pratyak Pravanata? Going inside. We say we have to go inside, dive inside, concentrate. We sit for japa meditation, nothing happens, Swamiji. We try. Why? There is no Pratyak Pravanata. Why there is no Pratyak Pravanata? Your will is connected to a particular desire which is not allowing to go inside. If you don't detach the Smruti from the Vasana, this will not go inside. Never. Even forget in dream going inside. Not possible. These desires are not on the conscious plane. Please be aware. It is in the subconscious or the unconscious. It will never, until unless it expresses, we don't know that this desire is hidden within. What is sadhana? Coming in face to face with all the hidden desires. Maybe this life because of Purvajana Samskara, I may be a monk. But so many births before, I might have enjoyed all enjoyments. All those enjoyments before realization comes in front of as Mara. Buddha had to deal with Mara. What does Mara means? All the Bhoga Vasana comes together. You should be able to answer it. Until unless you remove that through your will, disconnecting with that Smruti, this will not go into Nirvana. So these are all the connections to understand will and Samskara, Smruti, Bhoga Vasana and Karma. That's why Swamiji is telling its effect on character. We want such character which leads to the realization of Brahman. So with this we will conclude, and not the coming Sunday, next Sunday we will have Leela Prasanga. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu.